Hello, welcome to my channel. Welcome to this practice. My name is Kelsey, and today I'm going to guide you through a yin yoga practice that is themed around the astrological sign of Cancer. So the sign of Cancer is represented by the crab, which can indicate that they are signs that are able to explore their emotional watery depths while also staying grounded in the physical realm. Similar to their counterparts, the crab, they are soft on the inside, usually, and can have a protective outer shell that is more difficult for your average person or someone that they are not familiar with to penetrate. They are protective of their inner world, and it is very important to them to have a sense of home and to have a place that they feel safe and secure in, that they can return to whenever they perhaps don't feel like being perceived by others. So we are honoring this energy today with a slow and sweet yin yoga practice, mostly reclined, to open up the heart space as well as the hips. And I'm using a bolster. If you do not have a bolster, you could use blocks. If you don't have blocks, you can use a pillow. Also, I realize that this is a rather large bolster, so if you do have a bolster and it's a smaller one, go ahead and grab that one. It does not need to be this big. I just thought that this would feel best for my body, and so I invite you to do what would feel best in your body throughout this entire practice. We're going to begin in a reclined butterfly over the bolster. So let's grab whatever prop you're using. Again, if it's the blocks, you'll bring the blocks underneath your shoulders and underneath your head. I'm going to bring my bolster wideways on the mat today, and I'm going to turn around facing away from the bolster, starting with my feet on the mat. And then I'm going to just lean back onto the bolster so that it's supporting the backs of my ribs and my mid-back. My shoulders are going to be floating away from the mat as I let my head drop back and find the floor opening through the front of the throat. I'm just going to move my clippy a little bit lower so that it doesn't poke me in the back of the head. Arms can reach out into a T shape or a cactus shape. And then soles of the feet together and knees apart. So this is our first pose. Already deep opening into the hips and the heart. Considering how you could align yourself on the day-to-day with this Cancer energy. So whenever the sun is passing through a sign, it feels as though the day is resonating with that sign's energy. So you may wish to spend a little bit more time at home this season, being introspective, connecting with your emotional depths, maybe exploring therapy or talking with close friends. And if you don't do this at least a little bit every once in a while, we get closed off from the world. Cancer is one of those signs that reminds us that our strength is really our softness. Learning to, yes, value our home, but to be flexible enough to invite people into our home or to even create a new home whenever it's necessary. Take another breath in. Exhale. If you're in a deep back bend like I am, I invite you to use your hands underneath your head to tuck your chin in. Bring your feet back to your mat, and then slowly roll up or off of your prop, whichever prop you were using. And take a pause in an upright seat just to acknowledge the effect of the pose before we go into the next pose, moving slowly in our yin practice. And so if you were using your props behind you, just moving them out of the way, off to the side, making sure you're keeping it nearby, and then recline all the way down onto your back for this next pose. We'll go into a different variation of a supported back bend. So soles of your feet come to your mat. Again, just taking this moment with your back flat to the mat to acknowledge how you feel. And then we're going to use the prop underneath the hips this time. So pressing into the feet, not the hips, to lift the hips up. Again, if you have a bigger bolster like I do, it can be a little bit difficult to get the prop there, but allowing your hips to settle down onto the prop, whether it's a pillow, a block, or a bolster. Soles of your feet can stay on your mat in the supported bridge pose, or you could extend your legs long, coming into pontoon, this extended bridge. Arms can rest out beside you, or you can reach the arms overhead. And personally, for me today, I'm keeping my feet on the mat, but just know that in your own practice, you can extend your legs as long as that feels okay in your lower back and your hips. Softening back in, turning your awareness inward, connecting with the resonance of Cancer energy, tending to your inner world. Take another breath in here. This time let your exhale go with a sigh. Return to your breath. Bring your arms down if they were overhead. Slide your feet back in if they were extended out long. And then you'll just press into your feet enough to lift your hips and to slide your prop out. Lowering your hips back down to a flat back. We won't be needing the props anymore, so you can slide them out of the way. And from here, making our way into a figure 4 twist. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Let your right knee drift away from you, kind of like you were coming into a swan pose or into reclined pigeon. And then just let your left leg and your right foot find the floor next to you. The higher that your left knee and your right foot is, the more sensation you're going to feel in this outer right hip. And then you can reach your right arm beside you or again up overhead to get more opening into the side body and the shoulder. And you want your right knee to stay pointing up towards the ceiling as much as you can. And so I like to just use my left hand to gently support the leg so that if it wants to fall in, there's something stopping it, but I'm not using a whole lot of muscle to keep the leg in place. Really trying to not use muscle at all in these yin yoga poses. Breathing into your right side body. And sensing that your right side body is not just the area of the waist or the sides of the ribs, but it extends from your right hand, down your right arm, down the side of your waist to the side of your hip, down the right side of your leg. So there's a chain of energy that's being affected in this pose. With your next breath in, let that help you float your legs back up to center. And then uncross your right ankle from your left thigh. Take a pause in stillness before you do any little movements. Just acknowledge the effect of the pose on your right hip and your right side. And then it might feel nice to widen your feet apart just a little bit and let your knees rock side to side. And coming back to center and back to stillness, we're going to do that same pose on the other side. Left ankle crosses over your right thigh this time. Very similar to how you'd come into your reclined swan or reclined pigeon, but keeping your right foot down and then letting the right side of your right leg and your left foot find the floor over to the right. Keeping your left knee pointing upward, maybe using your left hand to support it a little bit, not using very much muscular effort at all. And then left arm could reach beside you or up above you. Once again, really sensing that your left side is that chain of energy from the left fingertips all the way down to your left toes. Integrating every piece of your body into the whole. Take another breath in and let something go as you breathe out. Next inhale helps you float your legs back up to center, uncross your left ankle from your right thigh, and pause again. Just feel the effect of the pose on that left side. Once again, may feel nice to widen your feet apart now and tick-tock your knees side to side a few times, relaxing the lower back, releasing the hips. Back to center and stillness. One more pose before Shavasana, happy baby. Draw your knees in, widen them apart from one another, so that they're about the width of your shoulders, and you can totally stay here today, or you could even hold on to your ankles or your feet and bring your feet together, something more like a reclined butterfly, or kicking the soles of the feet up towards the ceiling, holding on to the backs of your thighs or onto your shins, your ankles, or your feet, wherever is most accessible. not striving for something that is uncomfortable in your body, being exactly where you are in your body today, and treating it like your home with love and care, softening through your hips, letting the arms be heavy, and remembering that the feet don't have to stay above the knees. If there's any undue pressure on the knees, at any point bringing the feet back together like a reclined butterfly, you're still getting the same benefit of the pose, but taking a little bit of pressure out of the knees. This can be a really big pose depending on what time of day or you're practicing or how tight your hips are. This pose can also be really challenging emotionally. Allow yourself to have some compassion for whatever is coming up for you here. Allow the emotions to flow through you so that they don't get stuck and cause any disease, illness, discomfort, other than the discomfort of the emotion themselves. One more breath in. Let go of whatever you're holding on to as you breathe out, bringing your legs back together, feet down to your mat. Pause in constructive rest. Feel the release through your back body and your hips and your hamstrings. And then we're setting up for Shavasana from here. So I'm going to use that pillow, that bolster that I was using before underneath my back and my hips to be a little prop to go underneath my knees. This can just be really nice and gentle on the lower back, letting the spine rest in a more neutral position. But you could simply extend your legs out long, widening your heels apart, letting your arms rest beside you, taking up space. And you will hear my voice when it's time to come back into your space. Until then, enjoy this time of deep rest and relaxation. remaining just as you are. Bring your awareness back to your breath. Begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes as you feel ready. Let that movement expand into your wrists and your ankles. Maybe nodding your head side to side, moving your arms and your legs, reaching the arms overhead. One more big full body stretch here. Breathe in. And exhale. Let it all go. Draw your knees in. You can push your prop away from you if you had one underneath your legs. Hug the knees in. Rock a little bit side to side. And then roll over onto whichever side is most comfortable for you. Press your way up. Make your way back into a comfortable upright seat. Sitting up nice and tall, softening your eyes or closing your eyes. Taking these last few breaths to acknowledge the impact of your practice, to feel gratitude to yourself for prioritizing your practice today. And once again, reflecting on the resonances of Cancer, intending to honor that energy throughout this next season. With gratitude in our heart, palms together in front of the heart. And we'll close our practice with a chant of Om one time. Wherever you are with your breath, release the air. Take a breath in through your nose. And exhale to chant. Om. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today and allowing me to guide you through this yin yoga practice that was themed around the sign of Cancer. I truly hope that it has served you well. Please let me know in the comments down below how you're feeling, and if there's any other styles of yoga asana practice or pranayama practice that you want to see on my channel. I put out a new class like this every single Sunday, so if you haven't subscribed already, please do, and I hope that we practice together again very soon. Thank you again. Namaste.